Chosen one, pause for a moment. This is not just another video passing through your screen. This is a divine interruption, a holy collision between heaven and your soul. The very fact that your eyes are here, that your ears are receiving these words, is proof that something in the spiritual realm has already shifted. This is not coincidence, it is orchestration. The voice of God is echoing through the atmosphere, reaching for you, pulling you into a moment that carries eternal weight. You cannot ignore this. You cannot dismiss it as optional. From this very second, heaven has placed you at a crossroads where one path leads to breakthrough and life, and the other to delay and loss. The choice you make after hearing this will ripple far beyond what you can imagine. This is not entertainment. This is not a suggestion. This is deadly serious. The roar of heaven is thundering your name, and whether you respond or not will shape not only your future, but the destiny of those connected to you. So listen carefully. Don't scroll, don't wander, don't allow distraction to steal what God is pressing into your spirit right now. If you are feeling that trembling inside, that sacred pressure in your chest, it is the confirmation that this message was written with your name already stamped on it before you were born. And I want you to do something bold, something prophetic. If your spirit is recognizing this right now, type 99 in the comments. Why 99? Because Jesus said he would leave the 99 to go after the one that was lost. When you write it, you declare to the universe, I am not lost, I am found, I am chosen, and I am ready to hear this word. And while you're here, give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't yet, because by staying connected, you are not just joining a channel, you are stepping into a movement where heaven is still speaking, still calling, and still rescuing. Now take a breath, lean in, because what you're about to hear will not just inform you, it will transform you. Heaven is not whispering tonight. It has pulled the fire alarm in your spirit. Feel it. The atmosphere around you just tightened, like the moment a storm flips daylight into sudden twilight. This message arrives like a trumpet at close range because a decision window has opened, and it will not stay open long. There are hours when God allows quiet hints, soft nudges, easily ignored. This is not one of those hours. This is the hour when ignoring the call does not simply postpone blessing, it compounds loss. Jonah tried to outrun an assignment, and the sea became a courtroom. Winds testified, waves cross-examined, and a ship full of bystanders felt the cost of one man's delay. Understand this, divine warnings do not come to scare you. They come to spare you from unnecessary storms, from counterfeit doors that look like favor but drain your oil, from loops of almost that waste entire seasons. You are not being threatened. You are being rescued in advance. The trumpet blast means time is sensitive. The longer you linger at the threshold of obedience, the more expensive everything becomes. Clarity grows foggy, courage leaks, distractions multiply, and opportunities mutate into lookalikes that keep you busy while destiny waits, arms folded, tapping its foot. God is not being dramatic with you. He is being surgical. He is severing the cords that tied you to cycles you learned to survive, but were never meant to normalize. Listen for the signatures of a true warning, sudden holy interruptions you didn't schedule, a recurring scripture that won't leave you alone, a door that shuts with unusual finality, a dream that replays the same corridor, a name or phrase that appears everywhere like a watermark on your day. These are not coincidences. They are coordinates. Treat them like a map, not a mood. And yes, there are consequences to brushing this off. Not lightning bolts out of the sky, but something subtler and far more dangerous. Numbness. The heart that keeps saying later slowly stops hearing at all. Delay doesn't only push destiny back, it erodes desire until you can't remember what you were running toward. That is why this warning is mercy. It is God standing in the road with both hands raised saying, stop, look again, choose life. The storm you've been dreading is not sent to drown you. It is sent to turn you. The fish was not Jonah's prison. It was his ambulance. In the same way, what feels like pressure in your life right now may actually be divine transport, moving you out of a harbor called almost obedience into the waters of purpose you've prayed for. Hear the urgency, but also hear the hope. Grace is present in this very minute to make hard things light and crooked paths straight. If you act inside the warning, what terrified you yesterday will look small in the rearview mirror tomorrow. Say out loud, even if your voice shakes, I refuse the loop. I choose the assignment. Then take the smallest obedient step you can take tonight. Send the message you've avoided. Release the tie you know is draining you. Write the plan you've postponed. Open the scripture you've ignored. The trumpet is not here to shame you. It is here to synchronize you with a timetable called Kairos, God's now. And here is the mystery. When you step into Kairos, Chronos, the time on your clock, starts cooperating. Delays redeem themselves. Lost years pay interest. Closed mouths begin to speak your name in rooms you have never entered. But if you treat a trumpet like a lullaby, you will sleep through your exit, and the same hallway will greet you next month with harsher lighting. I am telling you this because you asked heaven for clarity. This is clarity. You wanted a sign. This is the sign. The next minutes are a threshold. On one side, noise, excuses, and safe, slow dying. On the other, a narrow door that feels too small for your fear, but exactly fitted for your faith. Cross it. And as you step, pay attention, because the very proof you begged God to send will appear mid-stride like a hidden marker only the obedient can see. You have asked yourself 1,000 times why your life has felt like a battlefield, why nothing ever came easy, why every step forward seemed to awaken 10 storms against you. Let me reveal a truth that hell has always known, but heaven is confirming for you right now. The battle around you has never been random. It was never about small details, never about coincidence, never about luck. The resistance you've endured is proof of the treasure you carry. Darkness does not waste ammunition on the ordinary. It unleashes its full force against those who carry extraordinary fire. And that is you. From the moment heaven marked you, you became visible to forces that feared what you would become if you ever discovered your identity. That is why rejection seemed to stalk you, why doors slammed when you were inches away from breakthrough, why you felt abandoned in rooms where you had given nothing but loyalty. These were not accidents. They were carefully aimed darts, strategic warfare, orchestrated assignments designed to crush the one thing the enemy fears most: your awakening. Look closer at your journey. Every season of loneliness, every tear cried when no one was watching, every betrayal that felt like it tore your heart in two, it was not cruelty without purpose. It was a pattern. Hell hoped the weight would bury you before you ever recognized what heaven wrote into your DNA. Think of it. The reason your pain felt so personal is because your calling is so precise. The enemy studied your bloodline, studied your weaknesses, studied your desires, and constructed attacks tailored to make you doubt the very thing you were born to embody. That's why your struggle looks different from others. Some people skate through life without much turbulence, but you, the chosen, have faced storms fierce enough to sink ships. Why? Because the treasure inside you threatens kingdoms. And here is the paradox. What the enemy meant as destruction, heaven has secretly used as construction. Those seasons that almost broke you forged a spine of steel, a discernment that sees through deception, a resilience that cannot be manufactured in comfort. You were not just surviving battles. You were being trained by them. Every arrow that missed you, every pit you climbed out of, every scar you wear now shines as evidence that you cannot be extinguished. The very proof that the war has been so intense is the same proof that you are not common. And the enemy knows if you ever step fully into that truth, the very darkness that tried to silence you will regret not finishing the job. But here is where the revelation sharpens. The intensity of the warfare is not only about your past, it is about your future. Hell sees glimpses of the doors about to open for you. Doors so weighty that nations could be touched by your obedience, families restored by your breakthrough, generations altered by your yes. That is why the pressure has escalated. The enemy is terrified of your next step, because that step is not small, it is catalytic. And you feel it, don't you? The war is loudest right before the tide turns. The fire burns hottest right before metal is shaped into its final design. Do not misinterpret the violence against your life as proof of abandonment. It is the opposite. It is confirmation that heaven placed something so rare inside you that hell trembles at its unveiling. And while the attacks were meant to distract you, discourage you, dismantle you, what they actually did was awaken a fire that cannot be put out. You may have walked through rejection, but rejection carved depth into you. You may have endured loneliness, but loneliness tuned your ears to the whisper of God when no one else was speaking. You may have faced betrayal, but betrayal stripped the illusions away and left only truth. The battlefield has been your classroom, and now the diploma is in your hands. You survived what was designed to kill you, and that survival is evidence of purpose still unfinished. So listen to me carefully. The next time you feel the weight of warfare pressing on your chest, do not ask, "Why me?" Ask, "What is heaven preparing me for that terrifies hell this much?" Because that question flips despair into anticipation, and anticipation into fuel. You are standing on the edge of a reveal so great that the warfare itself is a prophecy. And here is your small climax for this moment. The very battle you thought would be your grave is actually the gate to your crown. And as you step through it, you will realize that what was fighting you all along was not simply darkness, but destiny itself, trying to see if you would dare to keep moving forward. Before you even inhaled your first breath, before your name was ever spoken in the natural world, heaven already whispered it across eternity. Jeremiah 1:5 is not just an ancient verse, it is your biography written in advance. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Let that sink deep. You are not random, not a background character in history's story, not a mistake that somehow slipped into existence. You are the intentional design of a God who saw the end before the beginning and carved your essence with precision. This means every feature of your being, every thread in your soul, every fragment of your journey has been marked with purpose. You were set apart, not because of what you have done, but because of who you already are. This is why the pressure has been so severe. Heaven never designed you to be coal lying dormant in the ground. You were destined to become diamond. And diamonds only emerge under the kind of crushing weight and burning fire that most cannot endure. Every heartbreak you survived, every delay that stretched you thin, every season where you thought nothing made sense, none of it was wasted. It was not punishment. It was preparation. Heaven was shaping you into a vessel that could carry what fragile hearts could not. Understand this. When God calls you, He does not call the polished version of you. He calls the raw, unrefined you, and then He refines through fire until the brilliance inside can finally break through. Do you know why mediocrity never satisfied you? Why you could never fully blend in, no matter how hard you tried? It's because you were branded in eternity with a call that would never let you disappear into the background. Others could compromise and feel comfortable. You compromised and felt hollow. Others could run after shallow things and feel fulfilled. You chased them and felt more empty. That emptiness was not failure. It was proof that you were built for more. The heavenly calling is a gravitational pull on your spirit, and no matter how far you wandered, it always found ways to tug you back. Sometimes through whispers, sometimes through storms, but always with persistence. And the most dangerous lie you have ever been told is that your calling depends on your perfection. That is false. Moses stuttered, David stumbled. Elijah collapsed under despair, yet heaven still thundered through their flaws. Why? Because calling is not built on human polish. It is rooted in divine intention. God doesn't ask if you are flawless. He asks if you are willing. That is why the enemy has been relentless in trying to bury you under shame and self-doubt. Because if you ever realized that your mistakes don't cancel your calling, you would walk with authority that terrifies darkness. But let me take you deeper. Your calling is not only personal, it is generational. When God set you apart, He was thinking beyond your years, beyond your children, into generations that may never know your name, but will live inside the ripple of your obedience. Your calling is a key, and keys don't just open your doors. They open doors for others who could never enter without you. When you rise, you create pathways where there were none. When you obey, you break ceilings that would have trapped those behind you. And this is why your process had to be so intense, because shallow roots cannot carry generational weight. Heaven needed to anchor you deep enough to carry what others will stand on. So here you are, wounded but not wasted, scarred but not discarded, pressed but not destroyed. The very evidence that you're still breathing is proof that heaven is not finished. Your calling is alive, waiting for your full yes. And when you give it, the crushing weight that nearly broke you will suddenly reveal the brilliance you were always carrying. The coal does not see its own diamond until the fire finishes its work. And the fire in your life has not been to kill you. It has been to reveal you. Now let me leave you with this small climax before we step further. Everything you thought disqualified you has secretly been qualifying you. The very pain you wished away is the very pain that built the vessel strong enough to hold heaven's assignment. And the moment you recognize that your scars are not shame but signatures of destiny, you will see what hell saw long ago, the undeniable truth that you are chosen, marked, and unstoppable. This is the part where the weight of this message presses into your spirit with a gravity that cannot be ignored. You must understand this. When heaven sends a word this urgent, it is not simply about your comfort, your success, or even your personal breakthrough. It is about a tapestry far larger than you, one in which your obedience is the thread holding together destinies you cannot even see. When you delay, when you hesitate, when you convince yourself that you will answer later, the chain reaction that heaven has carefully aligned is interrupted. This is why this message is not just serious, it is deadly serious. Think for a moment about what hangs in the balance. A family member, silently watching your journey, is waiting for the evidence of God in your life to spark the faith they thought had died years ago. Your obedience might be the moment that restores them. A stranger you may never meet face to face could have been destined to cross your path, not to hear a sermon from a pulpit, but to hear your raw, unfiltered testimony at the exact second they were ready to give up. If you delay, that encounter may never happen. It's not only about what you miss, it's about what remains locked because you withheld the key. This is why the enemy fights so hard to keep you distracted, hesitant, and trapped in cycles of procrastination. The devil doesn't need to destroy you outright if he can keep you postponing the call. Delay is a silent thief. It steals momentum, steals clarity, steals opportunity, and by the time you realize it, whole seasons have been wasted. You thought you were just buying time, but in the spiritual realm, time is currency, and every delay costs more than you know. Understand this. Your calling is not just personal, it is communal. Heaven entrusted you with an assignment that ripples through generations. Your hesitation does not simply slow your own progress. It creates a famine in the lives of those connected to you. Think of the child who was meant to grow up under the influence of your breakthrough but instead grows up in the shadow of your silence. Think of the workplace where your courage was supposed to bring light, but because of delay, darkness continues unchallenged. Think of the generational curse that was supposed to break the moment you said yes, but now stretches on because the link was left unclaimed. And here lies the tragedy of hesitation. You don't always see what you've delayed. You don't always witness the lives that remained untouched, the miracles that never manifested, the prayers that went unanswered because you were the answer God had sent. But you chose to wait. It's a sobering thought, isn't it? That heaven could have scripted entire victories into the timeline, only for them to be suspended in limbo because you did not move. This is not condemnation. It is revelation. It is God showing you just how vital your role is, how dangerous your silence can be, and how urgent your yes has become. But don't miss the hope hidden in this warning. The very fact that you are hearing these words right now means the window is still open. The delay has not been fatal yet. Grace is still alive, waiting to be activated. The chain reaction can still begin, and when it does, the acceleration will redeem wasted time in ways that will leave you breathless. God can restore years the locusts have eaten, but only if you decide that hesitation will no longer rule your life. So let me leave you with this small but piercing climax. The greatest danger you face is not failure, it is delay. Failure teaches, but delay deceives. Failure can be redeemed, but delay silently robs until nothing remains. And if you dare to wake up in this moment, if you dare to break the cycle of hesitation, you will discover something astonishing. The miracle waiting on the other side of your obedience is not just yours. It belongs to countless others whose destinies have been tied to your yes all along. The air around you has shifted. It's heavier, charged, like the atmosphere just before lightning strikes. Heaven is not whispering anymore, it is thundering. The vibrations of this call are moving through your bones because this is not an ordinary season, not an ordinary invitation. This is your burning bush moment. The kind Moses encountered when everything about his life was about to pivot in a single conversation with God. This is your Red Sea crossing. The place where what was chasing you finally drowns and what is promised to you finally opens. This is your appointed hour, and the window is open now, but it will not remain open forever. Every second you are still breathing is evidence of mercy, but mercy does not cancel urgency. There are moments where time bends, where heaven aligns circumstances in such a way that doors open which were sealed for decades. Those doors are opening right now, and the enemy knows it. That's why distractions have multiplied. That's why old temptations you thought you had buried suddenly resurfaced. That's why strange fatigue has tried to sit on your chest when you pray or watch content like this. He's not trying to destroy you with one blow. He's trying to lull you into believing you have time. But you don't, not because God is cruel, but because your life is in sync with a divine timetable called Kairos, and Kairos does not wait for comfort zones. Understand this: obedience delayed is obedience denied. Heaven does not mark time the way we do. The opportunities God sets before you have expiration dates, not because He stops loving you, but because destinies connected to you are moving too. If you miss your cue, someone else's miracle stalls. If you hold back your yes, someone else's breakthrough waits in the shadows. And while grace can redeem lost years, it cannot rewrite a moment you refuse to enter. That moment passes. This is why this hour feels so weighty. You are not just choosing for yourself. You are choosing for everyone your calling will touch. Feel the tension between mystery and revelation right now. Mystery: you don't know everything that hangs in the balance. Revelation: you know enough to understand it's critical. Mystery: you can't see the full chain reaction. Revelation: you've been shown enough to know hesitation is deadly. This tension is where destiny is forged. And in this tension you must decide. Heaven is not asking you to feel ready. Heaven is asking you to respond. Imagine your life as a door with an ancient lock, rusted from years of waiting. This word you're hearing is the key in your hand. But keys only open doors if they're turned. And once you turn it, the hinges groan, the door swings, and light floods a room you didn't even know existed. That is what obedience looks like. And here is the paradox. The step you've been afraid to take is smaller than the weight of staying where you are. Staying costs more than moving. Waiting costs more than risking. Delay is not safety. It is slow erosion. You are being called into a moment that will not repeat. Think of the woman with the issue of blood pressing through the crowd. She didn't have a scheduled appointment with Jesus. She had one chance to push through, and she took it. What if she had said, "Maybe next time"? There would be no story. Think of Peter in the boat when Jesus said, "Come." He had seconds to swing his legs over the edge. If he'd hesitated, the wave would have passed. These stories are not ancient myths. They are patterns. They are showing you how God moves. And here's the hope buried inside the urgency. When you step into this now moment, everything accelerates. What took years begins to happen in weeks. Doors you knocked on begin to open without your hand touching them. People you've been praying for start calling you. Provision you didn't expect arrives early. Because when you align with heaven's clock, heaven rearranges earth for you. Let me leave you with this small but powerful climax before we move forward. There is a sound in the spirit right now like a door clicking open. You can almost hear it. It's faint, but it's there. That sound is your signal. You are being summoned to move while the window is open, to step while the water is parting, to say yes while the voice is still calling. Don't wait for a more comfortable moment. This is the moment. And what you do in this now will echo through eternity, louder than every excuse, stronger than every fear, and brighter than every shadow that tried to hold you back. Chosen one, lift your eyes right now. This is no longer just a message on a screen. This is the echo of eternity pounding in your chest. Every moment you've heard until now, every revelation, every warning, every flicker of urgency has been leading you here, to this single breath, to this sacred intersection where heaven and earth converge over your life. You are standing at the edge of the map where your old story ends and the new one begins. You are not standing in the dark by accident. You are standing on holy ground. The God who designed galaxies is pointing at you and saying, "This one, your destiny is not whispering anymore, it is roaring." The angels who walked you through nights you thought would kill you are now standing at attention, waiting for your answer. The same power that opened seas for Moses, lifted Joseph from prison, and resurrected Jesus from the grave is pulsing right now through these words into your spirit. This is your line in the sand. Everything you've survived has been sharpening your sword for this moment. Everything you've lost has been clearing space for this assignment. Everything you've questioned has been training your ears to hear this voice more clearly than all the others. You are not ordinary. You never were. And heaven refuses to let you shrink back when you were created to stand tall. Hear God Himself declaring over you, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. Not your failures, not your fears, not your enemies, not your past. That door is waiting with your name carved into it in the handwriting of eternity. But doors do not walk through themselves. You must step. You must decide. And your decision tonight will echo louder than your excuses, louder than your doubts, louder than every lie hell tried to script about you. Do not play with this message. Do not treat this moment like background noise. This is the hour where heaven has stretched out its hand and said, Come. This is the hour where your obedience has the power to release captives you will never meet, heal hearts you will never see, and set in motion a legacy that will outlive you. Step in now. Move while the water is parting. Answer while the trumpet is still sounding.
The window is open, but only for a moment. If your spirit is burning right now, if something in you knows this is the pivot your soul has been waiting for, make a prophetic declaration with your own hands.
Comment below, Yes, Lord, I will obey. When you type it, you're not just writing words on a screen. You're signing your name on heaven's timeline. You're signaling to every principality that the waiting is over and the chosen has arisen. Share this word, because someone's life may depend on your courage to release it. Do it now. This is not just information, it is transformation. This is not another video. It is your summons. The hour is here. The choice is yours. And when you choose, remember this. Your yes will thunder louder than your pain. Your obedience will blaze brighter than your past. And your destiny will open wider than every door that ever closed against you. Step across the line. Step into the fire. Step into the future that has been waiting for you since before you were born. Heaven is watching. Earth is trembling. Your moment is now.